Hello and welcome to today's class. Today, in our series of understanding the basics of programming before coding with AI, we are focusing on today's topic, which is control structure. Control structure. And for me to be able to explain it clearly, we are going to use this code snippet to understand what a control structure is all about and why you need it as a developer. Okay, using this code as an example, this is basically a Java code, but if you do not know about Java, it is not a problem. The reason here is to show you how control structures work. Okay, in this code is a simple program to print students' grade according to their score. Here on this line, a variable score is declared and assigned 78 as the initial value, Okay, in this code snippet, we have different control structures. One of them is here, the if statement. Another one is the switch statement. And another one here is the for loop. And the last one here in the code is the while loop. Okay, let us understand how they work. Here, with if statements as a control structure to control the execution of your program, you first of all test a condition. In this case, say if score is greater or equal to 70, print this message if the condition is true. And if it is not true, you test another condition here using else if statement. Else if score greater or equal to 60, print this message. If it is false, test another condition, print this message if it is correct. Else if, test this condition, if it is true, print this, and it continues until it gets this else, that is the final test. S grade is F, print this message. That is for if statements. We use if statement to test a condition, and our code executes based on the results of the condition we are testing, whether it is true or false. Okay, that is for if statement. Another control structure is the switch statement. A switch statement tests a variable based on different cases. In this example, we see switch, then you have this output, which is the grade. Switch go through this grade and test different cases. Here you can say in case a student scores A, a student grade is A, print this message. Test another case it is B, print this message. Test another case, print this message. It continues testing until it gets to this default. Once none of these cases exist, the default message here will be displayed. That is for switch statements. Another control structure here, or control statement, is the for loop. With for loop, we use it for iteration to repeat some task in X number of times. For instance, here we have a for loop as our statement, and inside this we have the initial value, we have a condition to test, and if this condition is true, print this message, increase this number, the initial value, and it continues until this condition becomes false. Okay, now here again we have while loop. We use while loop to repeat some task to execute code as far as this condition here still remains valid. Okay, with while loop, you check the condition, you execute this code. increase the condition until it becomes false. Okay, that is for this screenshot. Here, I have to explain it based on how control structure is grouped. One is sequence. Sequence is all about how your code executes. In many programming languages, the execution of code starts from top to the bottom. That is the execution of the code you have written. Another group of control structure is selection. Here in selection, we use what we have seen here as our if statement. If condition inside, if the condition is true, do something here, execute some code, some blocks of code. Another selection is the else, as if the condition here executes this number of codes. Another group is iteration, that is repeating some tasks in different number of times. One of them is the for loop we have seen. We say for initial value, we can declare it as int I, from 0, starting from 0. Test condition if I is greater or equals 10, for instance. Increase I, and this is how it will be. It will start from initial value, test a condition. If the condition is true, it will do something here and increase count until this condition becomes false. Okay, we also have a while loop to repeat something. As far as this condition is true, repeat something and do something here and increment the variable you are using. Okay, that is about control structure. You need it to understand how to solve a problem. If a user want to achieve some particular task, you should know how to use your control structure to achieve this purpose. Just like what we have here, printing students' grade, you need to understand to make a decision first using if statement. If score is above this, print this message, else test another condition, print this message. And when you want to test a particular grade, you now use another structure, which we saw here as our switch statement. And using control structure depends on the type of problem that you want to solve. So it is important as a beginner or as an intermediate developer or even as a professional programmer to understand control structure, the sequence of execution of programs, and the difference between selection statement and iteration statement. So that is all about today's topic, control structure, and I hope you understand this. Please, if you have any question, you can write it on the comment section, and I'll try as much as possible to reply your comments. So thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.